Governor Mike Braun will today sign a proclamation calling a special legislative session for the General Assembly to convene on Monday, November 3rd, 2025, to consider altering the boundaries of Indiana's congressional districts and to consider resolving an important issue regarding federal and state tax compliance that must be addressed. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. We'll leave the tax compliance to the side. Governor Mike Braun, governor of the state of Indiana, joins us right now. The redistricting conversation, the push from J.D. Vance, the vice president in the state of Indiana twice, the call from President Trump. You had the Senate Republicans in the General Assembly in Indiana saying they don't have the votes. Yet you've called for the special session. Give me the elevator pitch. What made you decide that you must believe that the votes are there? What made you decide now is the time?
So let me give you the underpinning of why we're doing it and then get to the why I think there are going to probably be enough votes there. Blue states have already gerrymandered as much as they possibly can to the benefit of their own party. You take the 6 New England states that vote roughly around 40% Republican. They have 0 Republican representatives in the House. In Illinois, our neighbor to the west, in 24, that split was 47-53. Yet Democrats hold 14 out of the 17 House seats. That is the reason it needs to be done. And then why would we be dragging our feet? I think all along I wanted this to be as organic as possible, give it time. And there's been conversations going on for a long time between the White House. Obviously, J.D. came in. President's made a couple overtures. But I think if our own folks put their, thinking caps on, they'll see that this is to kind of even the playing field. And then when you hear the votes aren't there, that's mostly coming from Democrats and others that don't want it to occur for the reasons I've just mentioned. They don't want the playing field even. I think once this got to where it goes public, you'll have people getting off the fence, and you're going to see the votes will be there.
Well, let me jump in.
That it doesn't, and then you deal with it.
Because it's very possible. You've called the special session, but it doesn't guarantee the vote. That much is true. What other states have done, this all seems to germinate out of Texas making the change and then California saying that we're going to engage in retribution. If Texas had never moved, would Indiana have moved?
Well, I think when Texas did it, they were crossing the Rubicon to actually address the imbalance. California is a gerrymandered state. They've got enough Democrats there to where they can gerrymander probably further. Most other states can't. And that who starts first, who's second, the gauntlet's been thrown down. And I think Hoosiers are generally not going to maybe initiate stuff like that, play by the rules, but the rules haven't been played by the other side for a long time. That's why I thought it was going to take time to get to where we are now.
Talking to Governor Mike Braun, the governor of Indiana. A lot of statements from the Indiana Republicans in the Senate saying they don't have the votes, which I always thought was an interesting way for them to talk about things. It seemed like they were trying to engage a pressure campaign on Republicans in the Indiana Senate to go forward with this. What does your internal whip count say? Do you have the votes on redistricting?
We think we're close enough to where once it becomes a public discussion, you'll hide behind the fact that it's all abstract until you have the discussion publicly. It looks like the House was not necessarily there. They had come along some time ago. And I think this is the catalyst that most Republicans in our state want it to be a public discussion. I think any senators that are still waffling, haven't made up their mind, they'll hear from their own constituents, and I think it'll be to go forward with it.
Indiana Democrats have come out to say you're afraid of the issues. You're losing on health care. You're losing on education. You're just losing everywhere, Governor Braun. How do you respond to that?
I think if they think their policies, which reflect their federal Democratic Party, if that's going to gain stride in this state, that is a fatal mistake. We've done more to where people are looking to Indiana on education. We've been the state more than any other that has tried to fix a broken healthcare system, where our own system works like an unregulated utility in the respect they don't embrace competition, transparency. We just touched on it in this last session. I think they're grasping at straws. For them to actually do well in Indiana, you can't be behind the issues that their federal party endorses. Their national party is off. Actually want to do more of that. That's not going to sell in Indiana.
Talking to Governor Mike Braun of Indiana. Allow me, well, I've got a couple minutes. The conversation has been fierce on redistricting and nasty on redistricting. I'm going to share with you a post from Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, responding to your post, your statement that I just read about the special session on redistricting and the federal and state tax issue. Here, I share it as he wrote it, sir. I've got a minute. Looks like Governor Braun needs some knee pads. He's making a very gross conversation here that you're just doing the White House's bidding and you're just providing them favors. A response to Governor Newsom?
I would say he is trying to stage himself for a failed effort to run for president. And of course he's got to say it because he's running the most dysfunctional state in the country. And he'll lose congressional districts most likely in the 2030 census because people are leaving his state in mass numbers. They're moving to places that don't run like that. Likewise, New Yorkers, many of them are moving to Florida. And when I looked at the net migration into a state, Indiana, I think, was the only one in the northern half of the country that had people moving into it. And that's the benefit of Pritzker and our neighbor to the west. So I think that's the response I'd give, and I'd like to hear his response to why people are moving out of his state.
Didn't even get a bless your heart. Why, you took the high ground there, sir. Governor Mike Braun, I appreciate you taking the time. November 3rd is when you want it to convene in 5 seconds. Will it convene on the 3rd?
I think it will, and I think there'll be a lot of reinforcement for it for senators that are still not sure what to do. They need to listen to this. They need to listen to what has been going on in other states by Democrats over a long period of time, right. And I think they'll get in the right place.
Governor Mike Braun of Indiana, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. More to get to. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today.